Hey everybody, it's Aaron and I'm back again. Alright, so we're moving on to the second god, and this god is Asherah. We talked about Baal the last time, and one of the last things I said is as Baal is welcome in, there's other gods that follow behind him, and this is one of those gods, and we're going to get right into it. And so, Asherah, she was the goddess of sexuality. It was because of that the connection to the planet Venus was associated with love. She was also the goddess of war and destruction. She was the goddess of prostitution. The prostitutes of ancient Mesopotamia looked to her as the patron or protector. The name used for both a Canaanite fertility goddess and a wooden pole symbolized her. Most occurrences of Asherah in the Bible refers to a sacred pole or a tree in the Canaanite and Israelite worship. Asherah, along with Ashtar or Aneth, was one of the three great goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. In Canaanite religion, her primary role was the mother goddess. It says that she is also called the creatress of the gods. Asherah performs the maternal role as wet nurse. The Canaanites associated her with the lion, indicating power, serpents representing immortality and healing, and sacred trees signifying fertility. So guess what, y'all? This is another fertility goddess. Thus, Asherah's children were called the pride of lions. The goddess is called the lady of the serpent. It says the word Asherah occurs 40 times in the Old Testament. 33 of these occurrences refer ambiguously to the sacred object used in Canaanite and Israelite worship. The object was something that was made or built and constructed and carved out of wood. Asherah's poles were located in sacred sites. They are often mentioned in context of Canaanite worship and on every high hill and under every luxury tree. 1 Kings 14:22-24 says, "And Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him with jealousy with their sins, which they had committed, above all that their fathers had done. For they also built them high places and images and groves on every high hill and under every green tree. There were also Sodomites in the land, and they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel." With this goddess Asherah, it is so much sexual acts that follow with her. It's a whole lot of perversion that follows with Asherah, y'all. It says right there in that scripture that Sodomites were in the land that she was worshipped in, y'all. In this time and day, that's all we see. Sodomites, the LGBTQ community, the LGBTQ plus community. You gotta add that because they add something new every day. But in the Bible, they were called Sodomites. And so with this goddess, guess what follows? Homosexuality, bestiality, whoredom, being prostitutes, all types of stuff follow with this goddess. That's many things that we see today in this world. We see nothing but loose women, loose men, homosexuality. It's a whole number of things that we see going on throughout the world right now. And as I said, as they opened that gate, when they set that arch in New York, their power became stronger. The nation began to fall away even farther into these gods. 2 Kings 21:1-3. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 50 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again high places, which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars to Baal, and made a grove, as did Ahab the king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of the heavens, and served them. He set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, in the house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. And so let's talk about some names, the names of this goddess, because we explained that over time, with different nations, that the names of these goddess and gods change over time. And let's talk about it. We already said a couple of them: Ashtar, Aphrodite, Venus, Iana, and of course The big one is Ishtar. If you haven't heard of her, Ishtar. So let's start with Ashtari. She was worshipped in Egypt and also among the Hittites as well as the Canaanites. Her Akkadian counterpart was Ishtar. Later she became assimilated with the Egypt deity Isis and Hathor, the goddess of the sky and of women. And in Greco-Roman world with Aphrodite, Artemis, and Juno. See, they just changed the name over time. Same attributes, same powers, same person. Next we have Inanna. This one is an ancient Mesopotamian goddess associated with love, beauty, sex, war, justice, and political power. She was also known as the Queen of Heaven and was a patron goddess of the Ina temple at the city of Urk. Some other names: the goddess of motherhood and fertility, the Queen of Heaven, the wife of El. If you don't know who El is Ball's father, Baal's father. Then we have the fallen goddess, the divine goddess. We have Semiramis. Semiramis was Nimrod's supposed to be mother, which also turned out to be his wife. She is a moon goddess, and she is the mother of Tammuz that we see in the Bible. Next we have Ishtar. Ishtar also means Queen of Heaven. It says the same title was given to the Mother Mary in the Roman Catholic Church. That right there lets you know who the Roman Catholics are serving. They hail Mary. They do all these different things to Mary. Guess what? Same person. But it's not Mary. It says this lady is a spirit who appears in the sky. Jeremiah 44 tells the Israelites to stop worshiping the Queen of Heaven. They did not and were judged. Today she has many faces. It says she comes to steal our prayers and our relationship with Jesus. In Buddhism, she is called Kuan Yin and given the attributes of God. Akkadian Ishtar, to a greater extent, is an astral deity associated with the planet Venus. They named these planets after these different gods for a reason. Venus with Shamash, the sun god, and Sin, the moon god. Sin being Baal. We talked about that in the last video. Baal is the moon god. Baal is Allah. Baal is Nanan. Baal. This is associated with Baal. It says she forms a secondary astral triad, and the manifestation of her symbol is a star. So there goes that star that is within the Muslim flag. If you see Islamic flags, guess what? They have the crescent moon with the star. Like I told you in the last video, Baal and Ishtar, they run together. Where there's Baal, Ishtar is close, and we'll get into that a little later on. It says, as the goddess of Venus, Ishtar was the protectress of prostitutes and the patrons of the ale house. Part of her cult worship probably included temple prostitution. Her popularity is universal in the ancient Middle East. In later myths, she was known as the Queen of the Universe, taking on the powers of El, of An, Enlil, and Enki. It says, let's keep going. The word erotic comes from the word eros. Eros was the ancient god of the Greeks. The name means desire. Eros was the god of sexual desire and love. Eros was born of Aphrodite. Aphrodite was the Greek incarnation of Ishtar. See, it all runs together. We going from Greek all the way to Babylon. Ishtar was the goddess of mediums. So guess what? They did divination. They did tarot card readings, all that stuff. They did this with her. Those were said to be possessed of the spirit. It says, they spake for the gods and revealed supernatural knowledge and counsel. Her spirit possessed them, and as it did her prophets. Ishtar herself was a medium, a mediator between gods and mortals. Today, such mediums will also be known as fortune tellers, psychics, channelers, practitioners of the occult. Guess what? Ishtar, guess what? Witchcraft comes from Ishtar. Doing witchcraft is a trait of Ishtar. It says right here in Jeremiah 7:18 through 20, the children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire. The women kneaded their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven, and pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, saith the Lord? They do not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, mine anger and my fury shall pour out upon this place, upon man and upon beasts, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground. And it shall burn, and it shall not be quenched. The next one we have is Libertas. Libertas was a Roman goddess. Her name is the Latin word freedom. She symbolizes independence, freedom from restraint. She was and is the personification of liberty and freedom. She's depicted wearing a long flowing gown, holding a rod called a vendetta, a cap called a pileus, which were her two symbols. She sometimes is shown wearing a crown of laurel leaves and with a cat at her feet. Many Roman coins and seals of the time bear her image. Libertas' likeness was used many times in many places around the world to symbolize liberty and freedom. Guess what? We have another one. This is America's goddess. We talked about it in the video last time. Columbia. Columbia was used as a poetic name for the United States and was the name of its female personification. She was a symbol in the 1700s. She was often depicted in her function as goddess of war, brandishing weapons and entering into combat. It was undoubtedly because of that the role that she was associated with a lion. Y'all see how all this add up? It all goes back to Asherah, Ishtar, these ancient goddesses that America is using today. I told y'all last time they put Columbia on top of our Capitol buildings. They put Columbia on propaganda when we're at war. They use Columbia. You know, they pray to Columbia for war. They pray that we win wars. They pray to her for so many different things. But guess what? Altogether, she is Ishtar. Let's talk about places of worship. She's worshipped in the Kidron Valley in Jerusalem, leading to the Mount of Olives, traditionally identified by Jewish and Christian and Muslim religions as the Valley of Decision, the place of final judgment. The Kidron Valley is the place of final judgment, where God is going to judge people, put them into the wine press, and their blood is going to go down the Kidron Valley. It says, you can find this in Joel 3 verse 2. It says, and I will gather all nations, and I will bring them down to the valley of Josaphat, the valley of decision. And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. Another place she is worshipped. I said it many times in the scripture above. High places. High places are, let's read it. A high place is a localized or regional worship center dedicated to a god. Worship at these local shrines also often included making sacrifices, burning incense, and holding feasts of festivals. Some of these high places contained altars, graven images, and shrines. The Canaanites, Israel's enemy, who worshiped Baal as their chief deity, also used them. So they worshiped them in high places, hills, mountains. This is where they practiced their sorcery, divination in these temples. They did sex magic. They did all types of stuff in these high places. And then we have another one, groves. They worship him in groves, and groves were, you know, fields with lots of trees. They worship the Ashtoreth pole, and so they carved this false image out of trees and everything. And guess what? Have you ever seen the Bohemian Grove? If you look that up on the internet, this is a place where, you know, elites and presidents in our society in America, they go to worship Moloch as the image of an owl. And it says right here, the Bohemian Club is an all-male membership including artists, musicians, as well as many prominent leaders of government or former U.S. presidents, senior media execs, and people of power. They all meet at this place and they worship Moloch. Asherah was worshipped in various ways, including through sexual rituals. Although she was believed to be Baal's mother and also the mistress, pagan practiced sympathetic magic. That is, they believed they could influence the gods' actions by performing the behavior they wished the gods to demonstrate. Believing the sexual union of Baal and Asherah produced fertility. Their worship engaged in immoral sex that caused the gods to join together, ensuring good harvest. This practice has become the basis of religion for prostitution. You can see that in 1 Kings 14:23 through 24. The priest or the male member of the community represented Baal. The priestess or the female members of the community represented Asherah. In this way, God's incredible gift of sexuality was perverted. It was public prostitution. These priests and these women priestesses, they would have orgies with random priests and priestesses, and they would try to get pregnant so that they can have babies. And one of her holidays, one of the holidays that we all seem to practice, is Easter. It says right here, the first full moon of spring in the northern hemisphere, or the first full moon occurring after the date of the vernal equinox, as such, can fall in between March 22nd and April 25th every year on the first Sunday after the first full moon of spring, or after the spring equinox. A celebration was made. It was Ishtar's Sunday and was celebrated with rabbits and eggs. They would get the eggs and they would dip the eggs into the blood of the sacrifices that they just made, and that's where we get coloring our eggs with the dyes and all that stuff. And also the rabbits were included because bunny rabbits, they have a lot of sex and they also make a lot of babies, and so that's where you get the Easter rabbit, and you also get coloring your eggs. Now we know that Christian people, we celebrate Resurrection Sunday on the same day as Easter, but there is a very perverted subliminal message behind actual Easter. That's pretty much all I got for y'all today. I just wanted to give y'all the information for Asherah, Ishtar, because in the next video we actually gonna get into it. We gonna show y'all, you know, where she is in society today, what she's doing in society today, how she's affecting everything. It says that she is a prostitute. She is the queen of heaven, the mother of the universe. She is worshipped through doing zodiac signs, divination, witchcraft, and magic. This lady has a lot of roles. The goddess of war. You know, look at our world today. This is all you see. They say that sodomites follow behind her. Y'all, in this next video, we're gonna see who serves Ishtar.